And in the latest newsletter that they blasted out, they had one of those bullet points that they made in the newsletter that's kind of, when you look at it on the internet, it's kind of pale blue. You can click on it, and it sends you to another site. The bullet point on the newsletter that the public schools in New York sent out was called, quote, Guidelines for Teaching About Genocide. Guidelines for Teaching About Genocide. And if you clicked on this phrase in the newsletter, it sent you to another site.
Disturbing is happening in America's largest public school system, and Senator John Kennedy is not holding back. From a controversial toolkit promoting anti-Israel activism to calls for student protests, what's really going on in New York City's classrooms. In this video, I'm breaking down exactly what was said, what was shared, and why Senator Kennedy is calling this systemic rot. Make sure you stay till the end, because what's being taught to our kids might shock you. Senator Kennedy took to the Senate floor after uncovering something he initially couldn't believe. A New York City public school newsletter sent out to teachers and parents included a link titled, Guidelines for Teaching About Genocide. Sounds academic, right?
Mr. President, I saw something last week that I didn't believe. I read the article, and then I searched the internet for other articles saying the same thing to confirm that it was true, and it was true. I'm still in disbelief. The largest public school system in America is in New York City. I love New York City. I think it's the greatest city in the world. And the New York public schools publish a monthly newsletter. It's called, let's see, what's it called? Office of Student Pathways Newsletter. Every month, the public school system in New York City sends this newsletter. They blast it out to teachers. They blast it out to parents, not just in New York City, but all across the country.
About genocide. Sounds academic, right? But when you click that link, it takes you to a page titled Stop Gaza Genocide Toolkit, a site filled with anti-Israel messaging, calls to action for protests and instructions on how to boycott pro-Israel organizations. This isn't just a website, it's a toolkit being circulated through the official NYC public school system.
And in the latest newsletter that they blasted out, they had one of those bullet points that they made in the newsletter that's kind of, when you look at it on the internet, it's kind of pale blue. You can click on it, and it sends you to another site. The bullet point on the newsletter that the public schools in New York sent out was called, quote, Guidelines for Teaching About Genocide. Guidelines for Teaching About Genocide. And if you clicked on this phrase in the newsletter, it sent you to another site. And you know what the site was? Stop Gaza Genocide Toolkit. Stop Gaza Genocide Toolkit. The administration of the New York Public Schools, largest in the country, is sending this out to its teachers and its students and to the world. If you take a look and you say, what's in this toolkit, this Stop Gaza Genocide Toolkit? It contains the biggest bunch of anti-Semitic rot you can imagine. The toolkit, among other things, it breaks down how to mobilize pro-Palestinian campaigns on social media. It tells you tells our students and our teachers how to boycott and encourage divestment from pro-Israel organizations. It encourages readers to print out Palestine yard signs and calls our kids and our parents.
School system. So what's actually inside this so-called toolkit? It encourages students and teachers to mobilize on social media, participate in campaigns, print out pro-Palestine yard signs, and even engage in anti-Israel protests. Even more controversial, it promotes a rage week and calls for action just days before the anniversary of the October 7th Hamas terrorist attack. Senator Kennedy says...
Action. Now, the head of the public schools in New York was embarrassed. Once people started going, what's going on? Why are you publishing this anti-systemic rot accusing Israel of genocide? After it was Israel that was attacked, after it was Hamas that started the war. And the chancellor, Ms. Melissa Aviles Ramos, said it was just a troubling oversight. That's what she said, troubling oversight. But then the article goes on to say that it's been discovered that a similar version of the toolkit, this oversight, was published in the newsletter in the prior month. It was in the November 2024 newsletter. And that document called on all the teachers and all the students in the New York public schools and everybody else reading the newsletter, called on them to participate in, quote, Rage Week, and, quote, resist genocide by mobilizing on Saturday, October 5th, for a day of action ahead of the anniversary of Hamas on October 7th, 2023. That was the date of the terrorist attack on Israel, which apparently the administration of the public schools wants to celebrate.
Senator Kennedy says this isn't education, it's indoctrination. Once this came to light, the backlash was immediate. NYC Schools Chancellor Melissa Aviles Ramos called it a troubling oversight, but Senator Kennedy and many others aren't buying that. A veteran teacher of 26 years, Karen Feldman, resigned in protest, calling the toolkit and its promotion systemic rot. Her words, not ours. If this is what's being shared...
Here's what one of the teachers in the public school system said when she discovered this. It is systemic rot. It's systemic rot, said Karen Feldman, an educator of over 26 years who resigned. She resigned. And it should not go unnoticed that in addition to this oversight, we know it wasn't an oversight. I mean, pigs may fly someday, but I doubt it. This wasn't an oversight. Now we find out recently that New York State education officials have rejected President Trump's administration's demand to do away with certain diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts.
If this is what's being shared in America's largest school system, what's happening in schools across the country? As a parent, a teacher, or even just a citizen, this raises serious questions about the values being passed on to the next generation. If you care about what's really happening behind the scenes in education, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We cover the stories mainstream media ignores, and this
that call for quotas, racial quotas, which are illegal in the United States of America under recent Supreme Court precedent. These state officials wrote President Trump, and this is what they said. There are no state or federal laws prohibiting the principles of DEI. I don't understand that. Racial quotas are illegal. You can't use race in America, according to well-settled law, to hurt a person or to help a person. But these officials at the state level, not the local level, they said no state or federal laws prohibit the principles of DEI. And they said that they are aware of no jurisdiction that the federal government has to withdraw funding. Well, you know what? I hope we find out. I hope we find out. This kind of stuff makes me want to jump out of a moving car. And this is the kind of, in the words of the teacher who resigned, systemic rot, rank anti-Semitism that in New York they're sending to our teachers and our kids and to the world.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Senator Kennedy's words were blunt. His message? This wasn't an accident, it was a message. Whether you agree or disagree, one thing's clear. Our schools are becoming battlegrounds for ideology, and we can't afford to look away. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Was this a mistake or a message? Thanks for watching and stay informed.